Hi you guys, this is Gwendolyn. And today I'm going to continue speaking on relationship advice from the expert. No, I'm just kidding. Oh my gosh, you always make me laugh. I know you guys are wondering, what is that girl doing? Messing with my coffee.
She's stirring her coffee.
Oh yeah, look, it looks like it's chocolate.
Looks like hot cocoa.
It is a chocolate. It's like
chocolate
something mocha.
A chocolate coffee, yeah.
What does that have to do with relationships? A good coffee is like a good man. Oh, just kidding. Anyway.
They're so silly.
To the side. Okay, so today, you guys, I would like to address, you know, my piercing still is going on, so it may sound a little bit odd. Still, I'm still trying to learn how to speak with this thing in my mouth. So today I was going to address some of the questions that people may ask themselves or someone else. And one of the questions I have here is, why do I attract Mr. or I would say Mrs. Wrong? Wrong. W-R-O-N-G. Okay, let's get into that. Okay. All of this is my opinion. Okay. Which everybody's giving their opinions. Just for the record. With or without a degree in life, in anything is still your opinion. Because you can't necessarily speak for another person. Mm-hmm. It's the truth.
Yep.
So, don't anyone else be afraid to speak. If you need to speak up to help someone else or whatever, it's the same scenario. It doesn't matter what's plaques or whatever in your office or whatever. At the end of the day, it came from the experience of others, yourself and others. It's just the way it is. Boom. Oh, yeah, she said it. She did. Okay, so why do we attract Mr. or Mrs. Wrong? Okay, in my opinion, still have to say that just because I don't necessarily 100% believe we attract something or someone that's necessarily the wrong person. Maybe it's the wrong time for you and or that person. That may be something to consider. Because that being said, while we're looking for our significant other, whoever that may be, in the process of waiting or looking in that element of space when you're not in a relationship, that's the time we need to do things to constantly grow, or something that's worthwhile with our time, whether it's doing some charitable work, I don't care what it is, or looking for a job change, or looking for a career, or whatever. Because the way I see it is this way. When you're looking for a relationship, it's the same thing almost. You can classify it similar to looking for a career. Okay? Bear with me. I know she's Elizabeth. Yes, I am, but bear with this. A career is uniquely structured for a particular individual, correct? We don't all go after the same careers. We don't. Some people may be an astronaut, a doctor, a lawyer, whatever. Long-term careers, right? When we're looking for something long-term. When you're looking for something not long-term per se, don't you typically apply for just a job? Because you don't necessarily plan to be there for a long time. It's a job. It's still work. A career is work, but a career requires, you expect to be there long term, you expect to bring something to the table worthwhile, and to receive something worthwhile, because you're building a future with the career. That's what we do with long-term relationships. It's a lot of work we put into it. It's better to have some element of experience, meaning whether you've learned it from someone else or you've learned something from your past. That's all you take into a career or a long-term relationship. It doesn't require as much work and effort just to look for a job, just to look for a person for a temporary reason. It could be you're just looking to just date. So you don't need all the same qualifications you would need for long-term anything, correct? Same scenario. And both a relationship, long-term especially, requires constant work. And it's constant work on yourself, on your things around you, your elements, whatever. It's constant ways of finding a better way to promote ourselves for whatever that reason may be. You don't want to attract what you feel like is wrong, but you have to ask yourself, what are you putting out there? If you're a person that if you're saying, I want long term, but you're behaving like a short term situation, that's what you're going to attract. That's just the way it is. How you are, what you put out in the universe is what you get back. Even when you can't recognize it, it's the truth. Now, I don't believe necessarily in the wrong person per se. You could say that when it didn't work out or it doesn't work out. You could say, oh, that was the wrong person. You could, but I think that it's not a accidents necessarily in the world. I think things happen for a particular reason. Why all the time we don't always understand, I believe that we meet people for whatever that reason is in that time in our lives. We met that person for some particular reason. Now, I'm definitely not speaking about going out there and just being reckless and careless. I'm not talking about that. That's not an accident, just for the record. That's suicide. That's purposefully being irresponsible if you're just careless with what you're looking for and how you're behaving, in my opinion. Be sure of what you want. That's just it. And you're more likely to attract that. And when you don't, when we find ourselves with a person that didn't work out, that may be, or I believe it to be, because that wasn't the timing for whatever that means that you were looking for. Meaning, in the meantime of preparing yourself for a career, you may find yourself on jobs, right? In the meantime, looking for that special somebody, you may find yourself going on just dates. You may find yourself just meeting people. You don't necessarily jump from single to boom, there's my prince. Necessarily, you sometimes usually are going to go through a few relationships or interactions with people. You're going to go through some of those. So you have to learn to recognize or pay attention to someone that seems to be on the same page. That's why we feel like we met somebody that was wrong. We wanted this. Oh, I thought they act like they wanted. They told me. You got to pay attention to what you really feel. Listen to your gut. Listen to your intuition to decide if this person feels part-time or long-term. We don't always know. We're definitely not psychic. We're not. But I tell you one thing, when you really like someone, we do tend to ignore things that are sort of there, noticeable. We want to ignore because we really like the person. So you can't, at the end of a failure, or I won't say a failure, somebody may really, oh my gosh, at the end of an experience, you can't say necessarily he or she were wrong. The timing was possibly wrong. You weren't done growing, or they weren't. That's it. But that doesn't mean that doesn't come back around. Sometimes you meet people earlier in a certain time in your life, and then you go back later and boom, meet them later on in life. Sure. And I always keep comparing it to a career because it reminds me of people, business people and things, traveling. You meet people in different places. And sometime in your life, the world isn't as big as it seems. Sometimes you could go right around years later, months or whatever, and meet that person again when you're probably in a better space, in a better place. That's why in the meantime of waiting on this particular Mr. or Mrs. Right, you got to keep building yourself to some degree. You're supposed to keep growing, keep finding positive ways to better yourself. You're just supposed to do that as a person, as a human. Because think about it this way. Meeting a person is not so hard. It's not extremely impossible. Connecting with a person is not extremely impossible. But holding on to them, that's where the struggle comes in. You don't want to have your Mr. or Mrs. Right, and you got all of this stuff you're still trying to work out, because you should have been doing that while you were waiting on that particular individual. That's why we're supposed to continue to grow and better ourselves, find things to do, constantly do something good for someone else as well as yourself. All of this is developing maturity and growth in us while we are in the wait zone of patience for that individual. So that's what I believe. I believe that the wrong person per se is simply wrong timing. That's it. For what you wanted that didn't work out.
Yes, ma'am.
That way. Because you may have met this person, like I said, and you're looking for a long-term relationship, but they broke your heart because they were done. They were done sooner. That may have been your season, but it wasn't theirs. You don't want to not be someone else's season, just like you don't want that for yourself.
Yeah.
But do you say, oh my gosh, they used me, all these different things? Not necessarily. You look at it as still growth. You were your best person, being good to them, being upfront with them. Maybe they weren't all of that to you. That's okay. It's okay. You got to be willing. You got to learn. The same thing we do for careers. I keep using this because I promise you it connects. The same thing we do for careers. This is the same thing we do for long-term relationships. You got to be able to dust yourself off and say, you know what? Wow, I learned from that. Or maybe I need to be more clear. I need to be more something. Maybe I didn't pay attention where I should have. I'm not saying being paranoid and all of that kind of stuff. It's sort of like relaxing and just going for it. And if it doesn't end up like you really wanted it to at that time, I promise you that time is still coming. It truly is. You just are still on your growth path, and or they are. It's just the way life works. Because when you do hook that particular person, you want to be your best of everything that you are. You want to be your best mindset, your best financial, whatever it is that you're gaining each day as you're growing, as you're bettering yourself. You want to be the very best person you could be for them as well as them for you. That's what's going to last. That's when it's going to last long term. But if either one of you are not in your best space, you're going to expect that relationship is not going to last. It's just the way it is. Or if you're not clear on what you want, or if you're not paying attention to, they don't seem to want what I want, you're going to end up with just going through a season.
Yeah.
And it's, like I said, it totally is okay. You have to learn to be okay with things not working out like we want. Like I said, that's what those jobs are. While you go through all those jobs, you're waiting on that's career. And that career one, and you've learned, look at all the experience you keep getting. You keep getting experience. You keep learning what to do, what not to do, how to act, how not to be. Be your complete self. But while you're growing, you're being your best self. You don't want all of this greatness to go towards the wrong anything.
Exactly.
And vice versa. You don't. So be okay with something didn't turn out completely like you thought. But go back in there, reassess, and say, hey, you know what? Was I clear about what I wanted? I wanted to date a football player. Here I am sitting at a baseball game. Was I clear? No, you weren't. Is it okay? Is it a bad thing? No, it's still a sport.
Yeah.
But I believe in constantly working on myself, constantly trying to be the best me I can be, because I want to be able to hold on to that forever person. And my best is the only thing I can guarantee to make it more likely that that's what happened. That's my belief. So there is no wrong him or her per se. It's just timing, in my opinion, because something was meant to be. You needed some skills from something to some degree. I'm still not talking reckless. I got to be clear. I'm not talking being crazy, cuckoo, going out there and anybody that moves, hey, let me go out with them. That's just crazy. And a person that's immature definitely does not need to date. Period. You're not good. You're not going to be any good for anyone or yourself. I'm not talking about anyone. I'm talking about responsible people that claim to be looking for that long term.
Yeah.
Be willing to put in the work. It's work. It's work forever. It's forever work. It is. It totally is. It's You're going to constantly work, and you're going to constantly, because you got to keep that relationship sparking. You have to keep the spark. Yeah. You have to ask yourself. I was telling Lexi earlier, when we're looking for people to hook up with long term, or to connect with, I shouldn't say hook up, to connect with long term, I was saying to her, remember I was talking about being really clear on what you're going towards. Like, if you're applying for a job, a career, if you're looking for a career and you go to this corporation, company, whatever, you're going to try to sell your best everything to them. You know you are.
Yeah, yes.
But you have to ask yourself, same thing with looking for a long-term relationship, ask yourself, what happens if I get it? Then what?
Then, yeah.
Because it's a possibility you could get it. And then what? That's why you have to constantly grow to better yourself every day, to keep on your P's and Q's, to constantly move towards being the best person, being the, whatever that is. A corporation, companies, whatever, they want their people to continue to be beneficial to the company, correct? When
Exactly.
you're no longer beneficial, they start looking for replacements.
Yeah.
Same thing with the relationships. When you don't put everything you got into being the best person that you can be, that only then could you expect that back. That's just the way it works. And be prepared that you may get what you're asking for. That's why I say it's constant work. So whatever you did to get that person, you got to do that and more to keep them. It's the way life works. Nobody wants to work all that, put all of that effort into, like I said, your company, and then what you do, just sit it to the wayside and just let it, run itself?
Exactly.
It doesn't happen. You don't put all that effort into a relationship and to let it run itself? It's impossible.
That's true.
It's crazy. So it's constant work.
Yep.
From you, and when you're not working towards someone else directly, you have to be working on yourself. But like I said, in the meantime, it's not all about us as an individual. It's about that time, that space that you're not occupied with another person is the best time in the world to do things that you probably can't do in a relationship for a number of reasons.
Yeah, it's true. That's very true.
All of this is to, what I'm saying is to avoid what feels like Mr. or Mrs. Wrong. Because you don't rush into something just because somebody looks good, somebody sounds good. Don't just rush into it. Step back a little bit. People will show their truth. They would... I tell you, people will start showing their true colors. I guarantee they will. You just got to be willing to pay attention, look, listen, and learn from it. They will. Exactly. Sooner or later, they're going to trip up on who they are. It's a fact. It's hard to indulge in and obtain fictionist things about us. It's hard to fib and keep it and last. It's hard to do. It is. It's hard. It's not the norm of how we were even created. So if you pay attention to what you're doing out there, what you're putting out, you could probably pretty much figure what you may be attracting. So to avoid that feel of this is Mr. or Mrs. Wrong. That's my opinion. So be good to yourself, be good to others, and maybe you would avoid the heartbreak. No one wants a broken heart.
Yeah.
But you got to be willing to, you got to know that everything is not going to work out the exact way you necessarily want to, because that may not be your season. That's just time for you to continue to grow. This is what the lesson is for the day. Keep growing. Keep being good. Keep occupying yourself with things to better someone else. To do something good, a good deed for another person. Keep doing those things. Your reward is definitely coming.
Exactly.
We were not created to be alone. Don't let anyone confuse that and make you think you were. You're not. It's a choice. Absolutely. Long term, we all have the right to be loved and love someone else. That is a big part of our purpose.
Yes, ma'am.
In my belief. Because what is all of this? Why is this such a struggle? Why is this so much effort and work into it? Because it's precious. It's precious, but it does exist. People become a superstar.
Yep.
It's not made for everyone, but they put in the work to become that.
It's true.
That's why they are super athletes or whatever. You put in the work, you get the reward. That's the way it works. But you got to keep it going. You have to keep doing what you did. Keep practicing. Keep bettering yourself. Keep growing. Just keep bettering yourself. Because that's opening the door for this forever person. That person is out there. That person could be directly in front of you. There are no genuine Mr. or Mrs. Wrong. In a sense of speaking, there's just wrong timing. That's... Oh! Wait, let's meditate. In my opinion, she wrote a book. Yes, I will.
So
but in
funny.
my opinion, it's just wrong timing, meaning you're not done growing. You're not done growing. Somebody tried to serve you dessert. You were still eating your meal. Hold up, I'm still eating. Save it. I'll come back for it later. That's all it is. It's just not that time. And because it wasn't going to last long term if you connected at that time. Another time, like the last video, dodged a bullet in a sense of speaking. It's the truth. So be okay with it. Take a breath. Release. It's okay. But anyway, that's my take on, what was it that I said? Why do I attract Mr. She said, Lexi put Mr. Mr. or Mrs. Wrong.
Whatever. That's
why we are attracting pretty much what we're putting out there. We are. We are. And when you say, oh no, you're not, you're wrong, Gwen. Oh, it's okay. Like I said, flip of that, it's the wrong time. Still not the person for you long term, if that's what you're looking for.
Yep.
Boom. So anyway, that's the lesson for the day. Hope I conveyed that over pretty well for you guys. Hope it was helpful. I got so much more to say. And I do have purses to show later. I do have more shoes. It will be coming to a place near you.
You're so silly. Oh my goodness.
Oh, you guys, I like to joke around. I just like to be happy. I know they're like, that girl is so... Yes, I am. But I hope that was helpful to you guys. I don't know any more to pretty much tell you than that. It's just, like I said, wrong timing. That's pretty much it. If you're being responsible, I have to keep reiterating that. Being responsible. Like I said, we're not talking about being crazy, not being in your right frame of mind, drinking or something and going out to meet someone. We're not talking about any of that. You're opening up for something bad. You're walking yourself into a wrong scenario. So don't blame that person. You're opening yourself up for something that's not good. So you can't blame the next person. You truly cannot. And if you haven't done more to better yourself while you're in wait mode, you can't say that person is wrong.
Yeah.
You can't put all of it on the next person. You cannot. because just for the record, you weren't their best choice at that time.
Yeah.
So that's why I say keep bettering yourself and stay in the lane of what you're looking for. That's it. If you have a particular something that you're attracted to, if you're attracted to a certain culture,
Yeah.
height, body shape, whatever, stick to that. Stick to that if you want. Stick to that. But also be fair and tell yourself what happens if this changes. Just say I like a person with long hair. A person can cut their hair. You got to be completely true to who and what you're dealing with. You're still dealing with a person.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to go through changes. They're going to go through changes in life for one reason or another. It could be a career change. And a person going to the military, they have to cut their hair. Or the women pin their hair up and things like that. They dress a certain way. A person decided to get into bodybuilding. You may meet this really skinny person. They decide to get... People, bodies, and mindsets change. And which is a good thing. I have to say this. I was almost out completely, but I have to add this. That's a good thing. As you're growing and bettering yourself daily, you're bettering yourself. You're getting more knowledge about you and something or someone else in this world to be a great person in this world. It's a great thing because at the end of that, when you're ready for this great individual, with all of this growth and being a good person, you could have changed your dynamic of what you thought you wanted because you grew so much. You made yourself in such a better mindset. What you thought you were going after, wow, you may need to up that or change that or tweak that because you're in a different place now. Yeah. That's why the meantime growth is amazing. It's necessary. You know, there are people that do this. I have to just add this really quickly. People that are purchase high-end items, like people that, especially like handbags and things like that. I've listened to so many YouTube videos, you guys, and a lot of them say, because their bags and things are so pricey, a lot of them say, you know what? I'm going to come back and revisit this idea that I want this. They don't shop on the impulse. They're not just splurge. They're not people that splurge a lot. People that have just a lot of money per se.
Yes, ma'am.
Why is that? They sat back and asked themselves, if I still want this a certain time down the road, I will get it. But until then, I'm going to sit back and be sure I really want to invest that much money. That's what a relationship should look like.
Yeah.
That's why in the meantime, I keep promoting growing and bettering yourself every single day to be the best you know how to be.
Yeah.
Because by the time you have that wish list that we have, and that, what is it called, that board? When people make that board.
Yeah, like a dream board or something like that.
You may need to go change something. Because you've earned a lot more income now. You relocated. You're no longer in this state.
Yeah.
You thought, I want to meet this guy in this and that place. This guy works at this place. You may have relocated because you've bettered yourself.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing. It's always a good thing to keep growing and to keep our minds and hearts open for what's best for us and someone else.
Yes,
that's why it's necessary. You may end up with it even better. You would end up with it better. We all are going to sooner or later meet that great person for us. We are. No matter what that means, we are. We just got to be a good person to attract good.
Yeah.
We got to be a fair person. We got to be an honest person. We have to be all of that to attract that. And when we don't attract it, if we feel like we're doing all of our right, don't necessarily call them a wrong, call them a growth. Okay, another experience. Learn that, pay attention to this. The guy said he didn't drink. He was always at the bar. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Give you a scenario.
Yeah.
Pay attention to what people say and what they do. It's the truth. So, anyway, boom. There we go. Done with that one. Hope it answered the question. Boom. Come back anytime. My doors are open for you guys. Always. Come sit with me and we will chat over mocha coffee.
You're so silly.
Thank you guys so much for allowing me to broaden my horizons because this is, like I said, truly who I am, and I enjoy helping people out. Thank you for allowing me this platform, and I haven't forgotten about the other things. I would also do that. But in the meantime, you guys have a really good day. Have a good rest of your week. Be safe, be good to one another, be good to yourselves, and turn on the dingy, 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 dingy.
Notifications.
The notification, do the bell thingy, and I will be back. Yes, I'm coming back to a place near you. Oh, I just like doing that. Okay, I'm over it. Thank you. Have a good rest of the week. I got so many things coming in this platform, you guys. I got some guests going to be showing up sooner or later. It's going to get real. It's going to get real.
You're so funny.
You guys take care of yourself. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Remember to
like,
listen
comment,
to Lexi.
and subscribe.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Bye, you guys.
Bye.